me cookie in the boogie music. Me lost me cookie at the disco. Me want it back. Me want it back again. Oh, me not sure how it happened, but me took me favorite cookie with me to the disco. Hello, friends, and welcome to Just a Couple of Guys Talking Everything. Now well into our second season. Let me introduce my partner, legal aficionado himself, Pat Crimmins. Good morning, Pat.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, Ray.
And I'm Ray Rogina, a lifetime educator. You know, we try to bring local newsmakers to the spotlight, and today is no exception, as we introduce you to Liz Suwanski of St. Charles. Liz made quite a splash nationally when she competed in the Food Network's Halloween Cookie Challenge and walked away with the first prize of $10,000. Liz will be with us shortly to describe this noteworthy accomplishment. But when we return, you know, since the holidays are approaching, Pat and I thought it would be worthwhile to discuss holiday mistakes that you want to avoid. We have carefully crafted some of our favorites to share with you. That segment and Liz Suwanski, cookie chef extraordinaire, when we return from this short break and a message from one of our fine sponsors. You stay tuned.
Tony, your parents know you're over here again, right?
Yep.
Great.
Tony lives next door. See, his parents decided to just use their phone for home internet. So when everyone is on, Tony's over here streaming and drinking all my soda.
My dog.
Switch to fast internet on the Xfinity 10G network today. The future starts now.
We're going to bed, Tony.
Good night. I'll lock up if I leave.
Get real home internet on the next generation 10G network only from Xfinity.
Well, we're back, and before we have our special guest come on, Pat and I thought it would be appropriate here during the holiday season to talk a bit about the holidays themselves and things that people do that we believe can be are large mistakes that you want to try to avoid. And I know Pat and I have had this conversation. Pat, I know you have a number of them. I do as well. Let me get the ball rolling. My personal favorite of a thing you don't want even in your presence, in your house, as a gift, you don't want to give a fruitcake out. Those things are better served as doorstops, in my opinion. Have
you ever eaten a fruitcake?
Oh, God, yes. As a child, they were very prominent, and they have lost favor over the years, only because people have put them in a cupboard somewhere and discovered them the following year. And again, they serve well as a book stop.
I believe that it's just one
doorstop,
fruitcake.
I should say, bookstop.
Yeah, it's one fruitcake that just circles around and around. I don't recall ever having any. I recall seeing them, but I don't recall ever eating any of it. I think I was frightened of it.
Pat, in your house as a child, did you have Christmas nuts on the coffee table, where you crack them open and,
We weren't much of a nut house. So I'm going to say no.
All right. Well, people do buy Christmas nuts for a variety of reasons and occasions during the holidays, from Thanksgiving right on through Christmas. I have to tell this story only because it is indelibly imprinted here as something that I'll never forget as long as I live. I worked in a produce department at Kroger in beautiful Joliet, Illinois. And the produce manager said he wanted me to build a Christmas nut display. Huh? Going to give me overtime to work all night long and put it up for the Christmas week. So I did. It was beautiful. Cascading waterfall of Christmas nuts.
I think people are still talking about it.
Well, with good reason. Right. I'll never forget during the course of the week working in there and selling a lot of produce for Christmas and working up to Christmas Eve, the night before Christmas. And I'm cleaning up as we're going to close the store up. And here's one bag of Christmas nuts still sitting on the display. I kind of looked at it, and winced a little bit. All my work here is now gone. And I'm still cleaning up, and I'm watching, and from the corner of both this eye and this eye, I'm watching two women approach this display at the same time. The next thing you know, there's a brawl. Absolute brawl.
It's like that movie with the
They're
ham.
swinging at each other, and I'm laughing so hard that I did not immediately go to get security. So I call it. Is this the manager? He come over and hauled them out of the store, and there was a broken bag of Christmas nuts still sitting on that display. That's indelibly imprinted every holiday season for me with Christmas.
So let me follow up on that. Just so I'm clear, you stayed and watched the fight for a while before you alerted management?
Yes, only because it was hilarious. I mean, it's kind of a dark theme here, know. But whatever the case may be. Well, and speaking of dark themes, Pat, I know you're big on. If I say It's a Wonderful Life, I think that's Pat Crimmins' favorite movie. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that or say I think you can go too overboard with Christmas movies. And I know with Bing Crosby would bring him out. The Bells of St. Mary's out there too. All of this stuff, that's fine. But now we've got these people creating movies that are a little bit off kilter. I just reviewed this today. Instead of A Wonderful Life, we have a slasher movie, A Wonderful Knife.
Yeah.
And, and then we have, last year we had Violent Night instead of Silent Night. We have Santa, he's on a mission to save the world. And I know you're a big fan of Die Hard, the Christmas movie, but I don't know. That to me does not send a proper theme here. At Christmas
it's definitely
time.
A Christmas movie, but if you're going to go through the holidays, you have to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Christmas Vacation. What's the movie with the little kid who's going to shoot his eye out? The Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, right?
You have to watch some of the animated films, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and these.
Well, how about in your view some Christmas no-nos, some holiday things that we should try to avoid? You had a few, don't you?
You don't want to overindulge in the alcohol, right? You want to avoid that at all costs. Because nobody likes the drunken uncle at the Christmas.
Wait a minute. Speaking of drunken uncle, though, haven't you ever had, when you're a small child, making a prediction about what relative would fall asleep on the couch?
Yeah, we do that pretty much every year. It's that, what is it, tryptophan in the turkey or whatever it is. But it's usually the same person every year that goes down first. And you're watching the Lions or the Cowboys. I think they have 3 football games on.
That's on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, and so that's a disaster unto itself. Or you're watching one of these movies, Bing Crosby. You're like, oh my gosh, what was life like before Bing Crosby?
There's something of gift giving, Pat, and I know you're preparing and thinking about it.
Filing a list, Ray.
Making a list, and you're checking it twice. But are there any rules on gift giving that you try to avoid?
Avoiding rules? I don't.
Well, for example, I'm not going to accuse you of this, but right. have you felt you've been regifted ever?
Well, the kids, of course, they have free license to get you whatever it is. It could be some crap. It could be a doll that you found in a box in your house. Whatever it is, they have the ability to do that. But yeah, I've suffered through some interesting gifts, and after a while, I had to tell my kids no more coffee-related gifts. I can't do it anymore. Every year, a new mug, some kind of coffee thing. I just can't do it anymore. So I've given instructions now.
Well, I would only say this, and I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to anyway. We took bets as to which gifts my late father would immediately say, I'm taking this back. And he had no shame at all. It was not a problem for him to say, why'd you buy me this for? I'm going to take, where'd you get, you have a receipt for this?
Right.
He had no shame at all. He would just,
And how did you feel about that? Was that allowed in your house, or did we have to pretend?
Well, it became again a running joke. What's Dad going to say? What present is he going to, perhaps not say that? I'll never forget one year he was a big Boston Celtic fan. We got a Boston Celtic jacket, and actually there was no comment about taking it back. He wanted to try it on to see the size was right. That'd be another problem. Oh, this is too small. I got to take this back. Too small. But I need a little more room, whatever the case may be. Hey, at least you were raised Catholic. Do you ever go to midnight mass at Christmas time?
We used to go to midnight mass when we were in St. Charles. We would go to St. Pat's, and it was always packed. And my brother always fainted. Every year he fainted, and it was always why did he faint? Hot in there,
Oh, see,
and everybody's there. Why is everybody going to midnight mass, Ray? What are they trying to do?
That's a great question. All I know is this: if you're going to go to midnight mass, a couple of rules I think you should make sure that you feel that the priest celebrating the mass will not talk too long, because now we're talking about getting to 1 a.m. in the morning, 1:30, and people will be dozing off.
Right.
We got to avoid that. And then if it's too hot, take that jacket off. You can't have your brother fainting because it's too hot in there.
It's unbelievable, and you have to come sober, right? These are just
absolutely
basic rules, right?
We can't have people bombed going to midnight mass. I ushered that a couple times. I have to admit, the money flowed on that night. That's a big night for. And I would suppose there's a big day night in any church as far as donations are concerned. But boy,
Ray, are you suggesting that midnight mass was only a moneymaker and not
I'm not
for any other purpose?
I'm not saying it's only a moneymaker, but I am saying it's a moneymaker.
Right. But people go to midnight mass to avoid going to mass the next day, right? I mean, that's really what it is.
Oh, well, that's the same with going to mass on Saturday as opposed to Sunday.
Yeah.
In any event, I'll tell you one final mistake that you have to just stay away from. Do not be shopping on Christmas Eve at places like Costco, Walmart, Meijer. Oh my God! The St. Charles police have to get a traffic cop out there for it's loaded. The parking lots are loaded. Then you get inside, and you got a heavy jacket on. You're like your brother fainting. You're sweating profusely. It's not a good scene, Pat. I can't
doing
think
my
of doing
shopping last minute because.
Why does that not shock me?
Well, you know what I mean. It was fun for me because the environment was everybody was out. It was fun. Every day was something out of the Scrooge movie. Yeah, it's probably best if you don't do your shopping last minute. There are people shopping right now for Christmas. I've had people ask me what I want.
It is unreal how early that is.
What you wanted for Christmas, and you told me to knock it off.
One last bit of advice I'd like to give, and I've seen this replayed now with my grandson, Henry, but it was true of my son, Matthew, as well. And that's these gifts you give the children to have 100 to 200 pieces. Little figurines, and they're all over the place. Fort Apache and whatever, you know what I'm saying? The Star Wars thing, of course, was big, but that's a collectible now. But some of this stuff was absolute garbage. And,
well, my son was into Legos, and we fed into that. He's got a great collection of Legos. He's saving them all.
And Matthew has a Star Wars thing. He's passed it along to Henry. That I can understand. But some of this other stuff with you're stepping on stuff. 4 months later in the living room.
I think television has depicted the dad walking around stepping on the Lego, and then falling down the stairs. Those Legos really have a tendency to do damage. No doubt.
And one more before we take a break here, and that is, Pat, have you ever gone to any during the holidays? And I asked this question very carefully. Have you ever gone to any work parties and discovered another side of an individual who you normally are working with in the workplace?
Well, I'm going to say yes to that. But that one of the greatest faux pas that you can commit is getting drunk at your own office party. That's not a good look.
No.
People are making out with their secretaries and all sorts of stuff. It's
under the mistletoe.
Mistletoe. I still don't know what that is. I don't know where that came from. I have no idea. It's a weed. It's just a weed.
All right. Well, hopefully your Christmas holiday shopping and season will be bright and merry and not loaded with mistakes that you'll regret later on. In any event, we'll take a break. When we come back, the champ, Liz Suwanski, Halloween Cookie Challenge. She'll be here with Pat and I. Stay tuned.
Humbug.
Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. Are you looking for the place to be? Voted best live music and entertainment venue by the Daily Herald in 2023? That would be Old Republic in Elgin, an indoor-outdoor hub with classic American eats, beer, and cocktails, plus the best sports bar, burgers, wings, and ribs. Best value? Old Republic. Another good place to be. Well, we're back, and as you know, we talk everything. But Pat, we have not talked to a butcher or a candlestick maker, but today we're going to talk to a baker, and that baker is none other than St. Charles' own Elizabeth Suwanski. Yep. And as many of you may have read in the papers, Elizabeth, I'm going to call her Liz. Liz is the champion of the Food Network's Halloween Cookie Challenge, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. Liz, welcome to our podcast. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Just to introduce yourself to our audience before we get into any specifics, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your family. We know you're from, you live in St. Charles. Go ahead.
So I actually grew up in Chicago, and we just kind of made our way out west probably about 10 years ago or so. We went to Bloomingdale, and then about 4 years ago, we came to St. Charles. So we've been here for about 4 years. I've been baking for about 8 years, making decorated sugar cookies. And then in the past 2 years, I really decided I really like this. I'm just going to do this more, and I'm going to start focusing on the side of cooking that I really enjoy, which is making individual cookies that are really complex, sometimes have moving parts, sometimes are 3D, instead of making integrated sets, which I think are beautiful, but doesn't work for me as well. I don't think I'm as good at doing that as I am making just one really complex cookie, one really artistic cookie. So about 2 years ago, I started doing that, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Well, what were the factors that led you to believe that you have a real talent for doing something like this? I mean, I don't know. Is there somebody who inspired you? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I've always had an interest and kind of a background in drawing and painting and crafting and that kind of thing. And then my sister-in-law actually got me some decorated sugar cookies for my first kid's baby shower. And then from that same cookier that she bought those cookies from, she got me another set for his first birthday. And I kept looking at these cookies and saying, oh my God, these are beautiful. I want to be able to make these. I bet I could make these. I do this kind of stuff, you know. I mean, how hard could it be? It's a cookie. So I got myself together. I didn't make proper royal icing. I made glaze. So it was just powdered sugar and milk. And I put it in a little Ziploc bag and cut the tip. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm going to make these gorgeous cookies. And it was a disaster. They were so ugly. They were dripping all over the sides. And then I realized, oh, this is actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So I just kept trying and trying again. I was like, cookies are not going to defeat me. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to keep trying. And I did. I just kept trying and trying and trying. But they would frustrate me so much that I would only do them a couple months of the year. And I'd come back to them the next holiday season as gifts. I'd make them as gifts every November and December. And then I would stop for the rest of the year and come back to it the following year. And then just 2 years ago, I realized I don't have to do sets. I can do whatever I want. I'm not selling these. This is a hobby. no one's giving me orders. I don't have to do exactly what someone's asking me to do. I can do whatever I want and then give them as gifts. And that gives me complete freedom on flavor choices, on how many cookies I'm going to make, on what those cookies are going to look like, what the theme is going to be, if there's going to be one or multiple, if it's going to be 3D or flat. And having that ultimate control over the design process is what kind of fills my cup. So that's what I love to do. I just like to have this be an art process versus me just pumping out edible products.
Well, you've stressed that. In my reading about this whole process, you've stressed the fact that this is all gift giving. There's no business involved here. There's no profits being made. But it does beg the question, has it run through your mind at all that at some point in time, you may want to make the switch to something profitable, shall we say?
So I've been asked that question many times. And one of the biggest reasons, well, I actually have two big reasons why I decided I will not sell. One of the reasons is that these take me a really long time. So say I sold a single cookie for $10, and that's a bit of a stretch because not a lot of people want dozens of cookies that are $10 each. If that cookie after materials took me maybe 2 hours, I'm making $2 an hour to make cookies. And that really isn't much of a return on profit. And it would just stress me out going into reason number two, that now I'm taking an order. So people are giving me money. They're expecting something. They're expecting it to look a certain way. They're expecting it to taste a certain way. I don't have room to make mistakes. I don't have room to try new recipes. I don't have room to have artistic, freedom and do what I want to do, make it look the way I want to look and say, I'd rather do this color or make it look this way. They're a customer. They're expecting something and I have to deliver that. So it completely removes the artistic side from me because I don't have that ultimate creative freedom any longer. I am trying to give them what they've ordered. So between the fact that it would cost them an arm and a leg and still not pay me very much, and it would completely remove my joy. And there's a lot of bakers who love to make cookies for other people and sell them to them. And I wish I could be that person. And I'm just not. And that's okay, because this is my hobby. I already have a full-time job. I have a lot of other hobbies as well. And I've got, 2 kids. I've got this house. I've got, a garden that I love. I don't have extra time to be doing dozens of cookies a week, even if I could do them quickly, or even if I wanted to do them for sale. So I'm just going to keep this as a hobby. And I expect that people are going to continue to ask me this because they look at these cookies and say, oh my gosh, people would totally buy these. And I'm like, yes, they totally would, but it still wouldn't make any money.
Pat?
So what I'm hearing is that the Just a Couple of Guys will not be receiving cookies by Christmas. Is that?
You might, but they would be a Christmas gift.
That's right. When we had our launch, I have a friend that owns the Geneva Baking Company. Mm-hmm. She had our picture on a cookie, just a flat cookie. It wasn't a sugar.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
My grandson ate the one of me, just so you know.
Well, there's Freud would love that, Ray. We can get back to that.
You got to eat it.
That's right.
Otherwise, wasting food.
You've used a few terms I wanted to get back to. Cookier and cookieing. Mm-hmm. What is a cookier?
A cookier is a baker who makes cookies or focuses on cookies. So if you focus on cakes, you're a caker. If you focus on cookies, you're a cookier. So baker is a very broad term. Cookier, caker, maker are just more specific terms within that larger genre where you can say specifically, this is the dessert type that I focus on. And I don't do cakes. I don't do pastries. I don't do macarons. I just do cookies. So I would then be a cookier. And then cooking, of course, is the process of making those cookies. So I'm a cookier who cookies.
Wow. The bakers obviously spent a lot of time on the name design.
Yes.
So how does one become an official cookier other than just making cookies?
Just make cookies. Yeah. If you make cookies, then you're a cookier. If you run, you're a runner. These are the things that if you feel comfortable in what you're doing and you feel like you can officially label yourself as a cookier, a runner, a gardener, then that's what you are. It's your own label that you put on yourself. If this is what you do, this is what you love and enjoy, then that's what you are.
So lawyer, podcaster.
Yes.
We're all set. We got it.
You're on to something.
Producer. So obviously you've talked a little bit about the idea of selling your creations, and we kind of know where you stand on that. What about before this Food Network contest that you were able to win? Were you in any other contest? Did you submit cookies previously for anything?
I've never been in any contest. I'm not especially competitive. I never really have been. It's, me doing this is not so that I can be better than someone else. It's so that I can be better than I was yesterday. So I'm always just trying to compete with myself, never anybody else. It's more just, what can I do better? And every failure is an opportunity to learn and be better and do better. So sometimes failures teach you more than your successes. And that's really important to focus on that and not say, oh God, I failed. This sucks. I can't do this. You need to look at it as a learning experience and say, okay, well, what did I do wrong? How can I do it better for next time? And that's what's going to really move you ahead.
Just my own curiosity, you have a job behind Cookie or
Yes.
Cooking. What is it that you do?
So I manage a technology stack for a credit card processing company. So all of their APIs and their API documentations, all of their GUIs, I basically product owner and product manage those systems.
Well, I have no idea what you just said, but it sounds very interesting. And,
Yes.
I'm sure that you apply your passion to that job. It certainly sounds like you're committed.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a two-part question here. The first part of it has to do with the fact that your recent success and fame is associated with Halloween-themed cookies. Now, I had a chance to go on Instagram and look at some of these Halloween-themed cookies, and I saw 3D haunted houses.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm not going to say it was, but something similar to Stephen King's Killer Clown. Somewhat dark, if I may say that, themes here. What's your motivation behind that?
I've just always loved dark themes. I've always loved scary movies. I've loved Halloween. Oh, don't I look like it?
Oh, no, you do not. Come on.
People look at me and say, I can't believe you're as dark as you are. Just your sense of humor, your interests, your style, the things that you like. Just by taking a look at me, you wouldn't think it. But everything about me, everything that I love just does have a bit of a dark side to it. So it's just funny because one of my friends is like, she has such a dark sense of humor. You just have to be prepared for it. And that does shine through in my cookies as well. So I still like doing, other cookies, Christmas cookies, spring cookies, different.
That was my other part of my
Halloween's
question.
the big one.
Yeah, that was my other part of my question. There are other cookies here besides Halloween.
Yes, there are other cookies besides Halloween, but we just went through that season. So you got to scroll further down to my feed to see them.
All right, and before we take a break here, I guess the obvious question I must get out here before we get to the competition, what makes a great cookie?
Oh, wow. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder on that one. I mean, a lot of people would say a great cookie is a cookie that tastes good. And I want them to taste good. But a lot of times people look at my cookie and say, ooh, I don't even want to eat that because I know how much time you spent in it. And it just feels wrong to eat something that is so pretty or that is obviously so labor intensive. And so I'm always insisting on people, please eat the cookie. Like, it's a cookie. It's meant to be eaten. So I think a good cookie is just a combination of it tastes good and it looks good enough to want to eat.
We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, Pat is going to take Liz through this whole Food Network competition, start to finish here, including, the fact that she picked up a few pesos here as a result of such. Commercial, and we'll be back. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. You face technology challenges every day that threaten to steal business, compromise data, and bring your business down. Without a good partner to help protect from phishing, ransomware, viruses, data breaches, employee turnover, and cybersecurity threats, your business is at risk of losing everything. TechWorks has been the trusted IT partner to Fox Valley businesses for over 20 years, keeping systems secure and providing extraordinary customer service, helping your business grow. Call TechWorks today at 630-482-2227 or visit www.techworks.com. That's TechWorks with a Q. TEQ works. And see how TechWorks IT service can transform and secure your business.
All right, we're back here with Liz Suwanski, champion cookier, who cookies and I can't get the cooking into this thing. Liz, we wanted to talk a little bit about just a question to follow up with what Ray talked about. When you won the Food Network competition, was it based on design or design and taste?
It was based on both. So you do have to make a cookie that looks good, that meets the rules they've put in front of you. So you make something that's completely off the wall and not what they asked of you. That's going to be part of their decision. But then they do eat that cookie. So they need to see that it tastes good, it's got a good texture, it's baked properly. And then in the second round, there is the use of a second ingredient or a secret ingredient, and that secret ingredient does shine through. So if you try to hide it or not use it in a way that is obvious, they're going to pick up on that and say, I couldn't taste or see your secret ingredient. So you can't be tricky and try to hide it.
I see. So if you could take us through the whole process, how is it that you even signed up for this, or did they come to you? The whole process, if you would.
Yeah. So there's actually quite a lot of cookiers, and a lot of them network on Instagram. So there are some on Facebook and TikTok, but I think Instagram's probably the place where most of us have our, cookie portfolios. And we're all kind of interconnected. So we're always commenting on each other's pages. We're always using similar hashtags and things. So you can find other cookiers. If you just find one, you can just kind of, skip through all the entire cookie community just by having one cookier. And I think that's what the casting associates for Food Network do tend to do, is they will kind of jump around and kind of leapfrog through Instagram looking for people that have the skill set and do create the kind of things that they're looking for. And so that's how they found me.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. What's your Instagram address if you want?
It is the Pumpkin Moon Cookies.
The Pumpkin Moon Cookies.
Yeah.
Exciting. So
yes.
The Food Network found you as they were circulating through the cookiers.
Yeah. So one of their casting associates found me, and they contacted me and said, hey, we've got this show called the Halloween Cookie Challenge. I don't know if you've heard of it. And I'm like, oh, of course I've heard of it. Oh my God. And they said, would you be interested in applying? And I said, of course, so I went through their official application process and did their entire casting process. And then I was selected to do the show, and then I went out and did it.
So describe the casting process. You mean you could be a great cookier who engages in great cookieing, but not necessarily the personality that they're looking for the show.
Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you what they're looking for. I've never been in that line of work. I know that obviously I made it through the process, but it is in the end a television show. So I don't know what it is about a person that makes them good on television or makes it seem like they would come through on screen. But I suppose that's probably what they're looking for, in addition to actually being able to complete the challenges that they're going to put in front of you. So yeah, they do interview more people than they end up taking, but I don't know what it is about those people that gets them through the process or doesn't.
Was there anything that you had to do, like a little baking before, so that they could taste it above and beyond the can?
No. Yeah, no, there's no tasting part of it. They do check to make sure that you actually can do the things that you say you can do. So they do give you a little test, and then you present that to them. But it is it's virtual, so there is no tasting side of it.
So some people put things on their Instagram that they don't actually do. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is 100% a thing. Yes, people do lift other people's work and claim it as their own. It's more common with people who sell. They will take cookies that they think they can make, and then they'll post someone else's photo of that same cookie and offer it for sale and say, this is one of the things I can make for you, but they haven't actually made that cookie, or that isn't their work. So you don't know that you're actually going to get that cookie. It could be a very different iteration of that cookie that comes out once they actually get down to making it. So it is kind of a big thing in the cookie community where people don't like it when you take their photos and use them as your own.
No frauds in the cooking.
No.
All right. So you get casted, and the great day comes. Tell us a little bit about the day of the show, the taping, whatever it was.
It's a long day. It's a very long day. I don't know how Christmas Cookie Challenge works, but for Halloween Cookie Challenge, you're doing both the bakes in the same day. And there's a lot of kind of turnover process in between the bakes and just preparation. And there's the interview process. And, they give you a tour of the kitchen because it's not your own. So they do give you the opportunity to figure out where everything's at and kind of get your bearings before you go in there and start baking. So it is a very long day. At the same time, it is a very short day. It just goes by so fast. You were running on pure adrenaline. I can't say that I had a single thought in my mind the entire time I was there because I was just completely going on instinct and just, I felt almost nothing. I was like robotically just running through the motions because I had no time to even sit and consider, well, I feel nervous. Like I felt nothing except for just go, go, go.
Right. Did you have the exact idea of what you were going to bake, or did you just kind of develop it as you went?
You develop it as you go.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your choice? What was your design, or what cookie were you making?
So in the first round, we had to do a slice and bake, which is where you've got colored dough inside of a roll with another dough outside of it. You can get them at like Walmart or Target where you slice it and there it is as a design inside the cookie. I chose to do a haunted house just because my house is pretty old. I can't say it's haunted, but it kind of fit with the whole theme where I have this, my story was I have this old house,
Ray, am I correct on this? We have no haunted houses in St. Charles. Is that
no
right?
haunted houses in St. Charles.
Haunted hotel, perhaps, but not a haunted house.
I don't know anything about it.
No, I love my house, but it's very old and I could totally pass it off as haunted as I want if I wanted to.
So if you didn't know what kind of cookie you were making ahead of time, how did they give everybody the same material from which to make the cookie?
So you tell them what kind of ingredients for flavors, and they will have those prepared for you. But I never made a slice and bake cookie until they told me about it. So, you kind of go into it just thinking like, I'm going to try my best here. And then the second round, my house, like I said, is pretty old. There was a time capsule that was found in the wall when they were rehabbing the house about maybe 8 years ago, I think it was. And the original family that built the house left all kinds of interesting things. So they left like reading glasses, family Bible, homework assignments from the little girl who lived here, a little toy gun, shotgun shells, soap, harmonica, like all these really interesting things. And one of the things that was left was this porcelain doll that has no hair, no clothes, and the most terrifying face. Like, I don't know who was making toys for children of this generation, but nobody that has ever seen this doll has been like, yes, she's so cuddly and cute. I totally want to play with her. They go, oh my God, that doll is so scary.
Hey, Liz, have you had discussions with Stephen King at all? I mean, have you talked to this man? I have to ask the question.
These people?
No, but I've read all of his books.
So have I.
These people who lived in this house 8 years before you, you know who they are or who they were?
Yeah. So the family we bought the house from, she didn't like that doll. So she kept it in. We have a display case with all the stuff from the time capsule that the people who rehabbed the house put in the house and said, oh, this goes with the house. This stays with the house. If the house is sold, this stays in the house. These are all the things we found in the old coal chute when we took it down.
Wow.
She did not like that doll. And she was hiding it in like a drawer. And she showed it to me and she's like, we just keep this thing hidden because it's terrifying. And I was like, oh yeah, no, it's very scary. But I was thinking in my head, this is the coolest thing. I can't wait to own this house so that this doll is mine, because this is the most amazing thing ever that this doll came with this house.
This is a tip to the realtors out there if you want to make your house more...
Yeah, right. To say there's a haunted doll that comes with it. So we closed on the house, and literally the first thing I did when I got back to the house, before I even started moving in or telling the movers where to put the furniture, was I took the doll out of the drawer and put her in the main underneath glass so everyone could see her. So that's my tangent about my doll. The second challenge was supposed to be a haunted mirror, and I was like, oh, okay, great. I can use my doll as emerging from this mirror. And I had shown the doll to the producers of the show, and they were just as enthralled with her as I was. And they were like, can you try to bring that to California with you? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try, and I asked my husband, I'm like, do you think it's a problem if I take the doll out of the house? Like, I'm worried about it breaking. It's a very old doll, and we're kind of caretakers of all this, property, this historical property. I'm worried about it. He's like, I don't care about that. He's like, just make sure you commune with the house, and the house knows she's coming back. Like, do not take that doll out of the house without telling the house the doll is coming home.
Yes. Well, it sounds like the husband's got a fair sense of humor, but I would also be extremely nervous to deal with the.
Yeah. He was like, I don't want any happenings going on here while you're gone, because the house is like, wait, where's the doll?
Right. So you had this pressure, or is there time pressure involved to make this?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you have 90 minutes in the first round, and slice and bake is not the most common challenge they give you. I think it's only been done maybe now 2 or 3 times. So typically you'd be going into a 90-minute round making 2 to 4 decorated sugar cookies, and I can't tell you what that's like because I didn't have to do that. I had to do slice and bake. And slice and bake involves freezing time so that when you cut the dough log, it doesn't just kind of squish and your design gets completely lost, which is kind of what happened to me because I didn't make slice and bake cookies before I found out about these challenges. So I had an idea that yes, they need to be cold, but there's a few things I would have done differently, I think, if I had really wrapped my head around the concept of slice and bake. And then for the second round, because it's a 3D cookie, they give you more time. You have to make 2 different doughs. The cookie has to be 3D.
Explain what a 3D cookie is.
3D is just the cookie projects. So a house would be a 3D cookie, or in my case, the mirror, because it stands up and has this dowel made of fondant coming out of it, it counts as a 3D mirror because it's literally 3-dimensional. It's not just one flat cookie.
Okay.
They give you more time. They give you 2.5 hours for that round, which that seems like an incredible amount of time, but it really doesn't end up being nearly as much as you could use if you were trying to do this perfectly and exactly how you wanted it to look. But that clock is always ticking.
Yeah. Outside of the baking, tell us a little bit about the behind the scenes television. Were they cutting and pasting, or how did it work with the television?
Well, there has to be some of that because I think they probably have, 15 hours of footage on each of us, and they have to make all of that fit into, 45 minutes plus commercials. So obviously they're not going to show everything. They just can't. Even just the first round, 90 minutes, can't even fit into a single episode. So there is obviously going to be some production happening there. And because you experienced so much during the bakes and the interviews were, a few hours each, just trying to get an idea of who you are and how to tell your story, you don't really know what they're going to use. You don't really know what you said or what you did is actually going to make it onto the screen. So there is a little bit of anxiety going into it where it's like, ooh, I remember I said something kind of creepy, I wonder if they're going to use it,
Ray and I have the same problem here with the podcast.
Yes.
Indeed.
So when did you know that you were in the running and might win this thing?
When I pulled that pumpkin out of the bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had no idea. Going into the judging in the second round, or especially into them saying who the winner was, that I was going to win. I mean, I think the shock on my face in that picture that was in the Daily Herald kind of says it all. I had no idea.
It was shocked.
It was very, I didn't think my eyes could actually bulge out of my head like they apparently did in that photo.
Otherwise, if you knew you had won before you had won, we'd have a scandal here that we could
right
on the podcast. Yeah.
Well, and when you're it's a pretty big baking area, and you can't really see what the other contestants are doing. You can't really hear what they're doing either. It looks like a smaller space on the screen, but it's really a fairly bigger space, and there's a bit of an echo, so you can't hear what's going on. And even even if you could see or hear, you're not really focused on anybody else. You're focused on yourself. You're just trying to get your stuff done in time. And so really, in the end, it kind of feels like a competition against yourself versus other people because you don't see what anyone else is doing. You're not focused on that. And even if you were, you couldn't see it because they're just too far away. So going into the judging and going into them announcing the winner, I had no idea what anyone else had done. I mean, they kind of gave me an idea of what they were planning, but I didn't see it. In fact, I didn't see it until the show aired. I had no idea what they had put out or produced. So it's completely a surprise because without that context, you have no idea how you think you might have done in comparison to your co-contestants because you didn't see it.
So outside of your fantastic baking skills, do you feel as though the darkness from your house and the doll helped you carry the day?
No, it's all light here. This is a very light energy in this house, and I think that energy helped me carry through the day.
We won't give out your address in case there are ghosts about. Ray?
As a backdrop to my last question, Liz, I know the Food Network is having a Christmas cookie challenge. And in fact, as the press has reported, a pediatrician who practices in Aurora and lives in Batavia has entered the contest. So that begs, and kudos to the Fox Valley for all these great, as Pat says, cookiers. Did I get that right, Pat?
I believe that's correct.
All right. Congratulations on that. But what's next for Liz is my last question.
Ooh, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I would love to do another challenge. They would have to invite me. And then I wouldn't know if it would be for Halloween or for Christmas. I don't know. I'm just going to wait and see what comes my way. I haven't sought out any of these amazing opportunities. They've just kind of been thrown at me, and I've loved every second of it, but I'll just wait and see what happens.
Well, they should show respect to the defending champion, I would think, but that remains.
They do sometimes.
Meanwhile, we as a podcast really appreciate the fact that you've taken time out of your busy schedule with a full-time job and a family and so on to come on and spend some time talking to us and letting the audience know what went into all this thing, because it certainly made a lot of ink in the papers, and we're very proud of you and your accomplishments on that. So thank you, Liz, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you, and you as well.
And Ray has a December birthday.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. On that note, we'll take a small break, and Pat and I have some closing comments when we return. Stay tuned.
Okay.
All right, we're back, Ray, and wonderful conversation with Liz Suwanski, champion cookier, engaged in cooking. She's everything you thought she would be. We did notice that perhaps there was a little dark side to her.
Yes. And preparing for this, I went on her Instagram site to find out what kind of cookies she makes. And I got to tell you, her and Stephen King would get along very well, I think. And she admitted, and of course, I'm a Stephen King fan myself. I've read all his books, and so has she, as she admitted. The fact of the matter is, some of those cookies are clearly, you don't want to be showing them to kids. They're adult.
I think, if I may,
clown, the clown, the haunted house, etc.
I think she has a little stamp where she puts a warning on the back of the cookie that says they should only be shown to certain people of certain ages.
Well,
that Instagram is _pumpkin moon cookies. And if you look at it, you'll see a variety of her baking and her cookie designs, and it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we learned a lot from her, and we learned, A, that she lives in a haunted house, B, that there's some random doll that is scaring the bejeebie out of me and you and everybody else, I think, that St. Charles may actually be kind of the apex of fear and horror, you know what I mean, in the community. But it was a fantastic conversation, and I really enjoyed it. Who knew that we had such famous people in St. Charles with the baking and the cooking and the cookiers?
Well, the doctor coming up on the cookie challenge, we wish her well, because she stepped forward here, and another member of the Fox Valley population that has decided to do this. But Liz, I just very, very refreshing. She came off very well and did not hide the fact that she likes this theme. She likes to be presence, but adamant about the fact that I'm not about to get involved in a business here. I want to give these as gifts. Pat, I guess my fervent hope, and if she's watching this, I hope I do receive one of those cookies as a present. I would cherish it.
When is that birthday again, Ray? December.
It's not necessarily broadcasting birthdays. Yours is February 23rd, though, as I recall.
Oh boy,
Pat Crimmins, February 23rd. He's always looking for presents.
Yes.
Pat, it's time to go, I think.
Coffee related. Well, anyways, it was a fantastic show. We had a wonderful time. For my podcast partner, co-host, friend, former teacher, we've shared our photographs on the internet for all to see. Ray Rogina, of course, for the producer, Paul. It was fantastic to have you here working your magic. And this is Pat Crimmins, of course, local attorney, consumer of cookies. And very excited about my favorite holiday, which is coming up, Thanksgiving, which to me is a pure holiday. It's just about thanks. It's about family. It's about that kind of thing. And there's no commercialism or fear associated with it. So with that, we look forward to seeing you next time. If we don't see you before Thanksgiving, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.
So long, everyone.